The past year and a half has increased the number of students in Boston whose learning has been disrupted, whether by the pandemic or its fallout on family incomes and mental health. At Boston Day and Evening Academy, an alternative Boston public charter school in Roxbury, helping students with extra challenges has always been a central part of the mission. The school uses a competency-based academic program with attention to social and emotional needs. To tell us about the school and the approach of a new year with in-person learning are the head of school, Alison Hramiec, and the faculty leader, Adrianne Level. I'd like to thank you both very much for being with us.
Thank you. Thank you.
I want to start with Alison because I can almost ask this question to the leaders of any school. What has it been like during the pandemic, and what has that told you about the mission of the school?
So, like any leader or educator, it has been difficult. I think the real telling thing for the BDA community is the reason why students come to BDA and why teachers work at BDA. We both do that for building relationships and having in-person interaction with one another. And so with COVID and being at home and interacting on a screen, that really showed us, one, how difficult it is to engage students in that on a screen, but also the real value that we bring to the Boston Public Schools and to our students and to our families. We couldn't do the thing that we are known for. And as a result, our students disengaged and they sought out other things to do. They worked, they saw it as an opportunity to take care of their families. They really did not see remote learning as an option for them. So it was a tough year trying to engage students.
Adrianne, a lot of schools, especially at the high school grades, they have students who have been either disrupted, traumatized, or just disengaged. But what about the student body? I think even before the pandemic, if you look at the number of students who have mental health challenges or some other kinds of challenges in their life, this school seems to have had that to a higher degree. What's it like there exactly?
Absolutely. So 100% of our students have either come from another high school, private school, charter school, other Boston public school, or they're overage eighth graders. So all of our students have all been failed by the educational system. And that comes with its own set of challenges. So they're dealing with mental health, domestic violence, homelessness, all sorts of issues. And we at BDEA, we have an amazing student support team that supports our students with overcoming those challenges and connecting with them with the resources that they need to be successful.
Also, what about the difference between the way the students begin at the school and what happens later? Because I think when they're coming in, you see this, almost a scary figure. You get students who are about 18 years old, but they're testing at, grades 6 through 8. Talk about what happens from there to eventually even after they leave the school.
Right. So we have a unique model. It's a competency-based academic model. We're leading the country in that design model. And so when students do come in, we do an assessment of their academic needs, their social emotional needs, and then really meet the student where they are academically, and also paying attention to what those social emotional needs are and making sure they're getting the resources that they need. But you're absolutely right. They're young adults. The average age is 18. They don't trust us. And so success really comes from building relationships with them, small classes, a strong support team. And then as they trust us, they begin to engage in their academics and they make progress. And then we have a really strong postgraduate planning team that from day one is asking them, what do you want to do after high school? What is your vision? Not giving them that vision, but allowing them to create their own and giving them resources to then design a capstone project that launches them into a post-secondary plan. And that ranges. We're an alternative school, so there's a group of students that are going to go to four-year colleges. There's a group of students that are going to go to the community colleges, and there's a group of students that are going to access the trades. So our academic model is unique in that we can serve all of those students, which is different from other schools.
Adrianne, what does that mean for teachers? Because I think normally teachers are expected to keep an eye on those test scores and college acceptances. But in this school, you have a teacher who's dealing with students who might have a family crisis, and you've got to help them with that. I mean, what does that mean to be a successful teacher at a school like this?
Right. And I think it's true for good teachers everywhere, that we know that teaching is more than just the curriculum that you give the students. But we have a really strong advisory model at our school where all of our students are paired with an advisor. And they also have a student support person. So there are at least 2 adults that our students can turn to if they need support with anything. Whether it be academics, we can, the teachers can help provide academic support. A number of them stay after school to provide additional resources, or if it's housing or they just want to talk to someone. So we make sure that, as Alison shared earlier, that relationships are the center of our school. And once our students trust us, then they can let the guard down. We can support them with whatever issues they have going on, and then they can thrive academically.
Alison, they do go on to some good thing. I've seen some numbers, what about at least half of them go to at least a 2-year college, and maybe more of them go into the trades?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I think that's one of our strong assets as a school is we have invested not only in a strong student support team, but in a postgraduate planning. So a lot of schools have a 1 to 300 ratio of a guidance counselor. Ours is about a 1 to 50 or 1 to 100. And that's because our students need that extra support that they're not getting from home to make sure that they're applying for financial aid, applying for college. But all of our students, every single one, will have a strong postgraduate plan that they have drafted, and that's aligned to what they want to do after high school.
Adrianne, of course, looking ahead, you're working on the next phase of things at this school, possibly with some growth baked into it. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes. So BDA 2.0, I'm excited. As you can see, we started this program about 3 years ago. And we looked at some data and we realized that our Black and Latino male students that came to us with far less credits were less likely to graduate from us. And of course, we wanted to change that narrative and help them be successful. So we met with students that fit that demographic, both current students that graduated, and students that left us, community partners, teachers, and we met to design a model, which ended up being BDA 2.0. But the model is that our students essentially share that they didn't want to sit in class and be lectured to. So the academic lens is project-based learning. So it's hands-on, relevant curriculum that our students get excited for. There's a work-based learning model component to it as well. And that's because our students, one, a number of them had responsibilities outside of the classroom that they had to tend to, supporting the family. And then they also they realized that once they graduated, they didn't have access to the same network that their peers in the suburbs had access to. They couldn't go home and ask mom or dad, say, hey, I need a job down the street, and whoever will set them up with a job. So we wanted to make sure that they had that access to that network and while they were with us. And then it's small. We realized that a lot of the students that came to us and weren't successful, they had a lot of social anxiety. And so BDA 2.0 really has a small staff to student ratio. We're growing to 60 students in the fall to make sure that there's a strong community there where they can feel successful and turn to everyone, again, with the goal of thriving.
Explain that a little bit more, the social anxiety. We're talking about, young male men here. What's going on?
Yeah, great question. And so it's so interesting. I guess the best thing I can do is just describe our typical guy when they come to us. And so they come to us in orientation, a number of them heads down. Maybe they're wearing hoodies. If they've got hair, it's covering their face, and really quiet. And that's a result of the trauma or whatever it is that they've been through and they've gone through before they've gotten to us. And so it's our job to kind of peel away by building relationships and kind of using curriculum that reinforces who they are and what they can do, and supporting their postgraduate's plan to let them know, like, your dreams are possible. And then slowly we see that they sit up in class, they take off their hoodies, maybe they'll pull their hair back in a bun so we can see their face, but it really is a transition that you see with our students that comes from just building that relationship and letting them know that, like, we see you, for sure.
Alison, what you're doing here, it takes space, and not just for students and teachers, but you've got partners in the community, and the state has recently allowed your charter to accommodate more students. So what's the next move exactly?
Right. So we're sitting in a really beautiful school in Nubian Square. We've been here for 17 years. We've taken really good care of the building, but it only holds 200 students, and our enrollment currently is at 440, with the goal to get to 505. And so we're really a small high school, and we're sitting in an elementary school. And so we're working with Boston Public Schools, the superintendent, and Build BPS to help us identify a facility that can house 2.0. So 2.0 is sitting on a different campus, and also house our partnerships. Our long history working with students and really helping them transform their lives has brought in a really robust set of partners, from health centers, mental health support, housing support, fitness, wellness support, and we don't have room for those partners. We really are bursting at the seams. And so, especially coming out of COVID, we are hoping that we can find a larger facility that houses all of us, all 505 students, all of our partners, and that it has access to partnerships where we can then bring those partners into the building and have that holistic care that our students really deserve. And so our end goal is to have a state-of-the-art alternative school that the district and the mayor can be really proud of.